Leonardo DiCaprio just turned 50, and while the world expected a midlife reinvention, what we uncovered instead is something far more mysterious. He's been the face of epic romances on screen, yet his real-life love story has puzzled fans for decades. No marriage, no kids, and relationships that seem to follow an uncanny pattern. Why? What invisible thread keeps Hollywood's Golden Bachelor from settling down, even as those closest to him move on to family life? In this video, we dig into the subtle clues, rare interviews, and a vow you've likely never heard of. The answer may change how you see him forever.
Leonardo Wilhelm DiCaprio was born on November 11, 1974 in Los Angeles, USA, in the family of comic book author George DiCaprio and legal secretary Ermeline Indenbergen.
To truly understand the man who captivates millions, yet walks a solitary path in matrimony, we must first journey back to the unconventional beginnings that shaped him. Born to a legal secretary, Ermeline nicknamed Moline in some accounts, and an underground comic artist, George DiCaprio, in a Los Angeles far removed from today's glamour. Leonardo DiCaprio's destiny on November 11, 1974, was anything but predetermined. His parents, who had met in college and subsequently moved to LA, separated when Leo was just a baby. George, having fallen for another woman, moved out, yet their commitment to co-raising their son resulted in a unique living arrangement. They occupied side-by-side homes, a shared garden becoming the literal common ground of his early years. It was in this bohemian atmosphere that young Leonardo was also introduced to his stepbrother, Adam Ferrar, an older figure who quickly became an early influence, someone he looked up to. As Leonardo grew, he and his mother navigated various Los Angeles neighborhoods, including the eclectic Los Feliz. He would later describe his parents as very bohemian, a term that encapsulated the free-spirited, artistic environment of his upbringing. This, however, was set against the backdrop of what he called a tough area, an environment touched by crime and poverty. Despite these challenges, his admiration and trust in his parents remained a steadfast anchor. His formal schooling, which included stints at the Los Angeles Center for Enriched Studies and John Marshall High School, failed to capture his imagination. The rigid structures of the classroom paled in comparison to a burning, insatiable desire to act. This wasn't just a fleeting fancy, it was a profound yearning, dreaming far bigger than any textbook could offer. Even his name, an almost faded anecdote, came about when his pregnant mother felt his first kick while admiring a Leonardo da Vinci painting in an Italian museum.
I had a prostitution ring on my street corner. There were drug addicts in my alleyway. There was, I got robbed at 5 years old or something like that.
5 years old?
Yeah. It was a pretty hardcore neighborhood, and I think that...
His passion for performance wasn't a late bloom. It sparked as young as age 2, when he spontaneously danced on stage at a festival, delighting onlookers. This innate drive was further fanned by a brief, almost comedic, brush with early television. He was, by his own account, nearly kicked off the set of the children's show Romper Room for being too disruptive, a claim the host later denied, adding a small layer of contested history to his early CV. For a moment, this nascent acting dream was almost sidelined by another passion, breakdancing. After winning second place in a contest in Germany, the allure of this expressive street art form nearly pulled him in a different direction. What an alternative path that might have been.
Well, I went to drama class in junior high and high school, but I never had sort of formal training or anything like that, no.
So where did all this come from?
I grew up in a kind of an artistic household.
He saw his stepbrother Adam Ferrar earn a staggering $50,000 for a TV commercial, a sum that lit a fire in young Leo's eyes, a tangible vision of what was possible. But finding an agent proved a soul-crushing ordeal, a year and a half of relentless searching. With one even demanding he anglicized his distinctive name to Lenny Williams to sound more conventionally American. Would he compromise his identity for a dream that seemed impossibly distant? From Critters 3 to Titanic's Beau is the relentless climb to global superstardom of Leonardo, refusing to become Lenny Williams, Leo, with his father's backing, clung to his dream. The rejection stung, but a chance encounter through a family friend was about to crack open the tightly sealed doors of Hollywood. That refusal to compromise, that raw ambition, soon found its first major outlets, from fleeting commercial smiles to the demanding sets of early television. A quiet revolution was beginning in young DiCaprio's career.
At 6
Well,
years
I
old.
tried to get an agent,
Right.
but I didn't succeed because they wanted to change my name to Lenny Williams. They thought my name was a little too ethnic, so they sort of dissected it and said, hey, Leonardo, Lenny. My middle name's Wilhelm, so they changed that to Williams.
His first film role, a forgettable part in Critters. 1991, a low-budget horror flick he'd later self-deprecating joke about, was one of the worst movies ever made. Yet, this was a necessary, if somewhat shaky, rung on a ladder he was fiercely determined to climb. Before that cinematic debut, however, came the grind of commercials for brands like Matchbox Cars, Kraft Singles, and Apple Jacks, each a small step, a brief flicker on screen. Television offered more substantial bites, a 2-episode stint as Glenn in The New Lassie in 1989, followed by small parts in the soap opera Santa Barbara, and a show called The Outsiders. His big break on the small screen arrived when he joined the TV series Parenthood, playing the troubled teen Gary Buckman. He immersed himself in the role, even studying Joaquin Phoenix's then Leaf Phoenix performance from the original film, a dedication that earned him 2 Youth and Film Award nominations. Around this time, an appearance on the game show Funhouse, where he gamely performed stunts like catching a fish with his teeth, showcased an infectious, youthful energy. In 1991, the same year as Critters 3, he landed the role of Luke Brower, a homeless boy, on the popular sitcom Growing Pains. Producers had hoped his boyish charm would attract younger viewers, particularly girls. Actress Joanna Kearns, who played the mother on the show, recalled him as smart, playful, and fond of joking around. Though his presence didn't dramatically improve ratings, his performance earned him another award nomination and, more importantly, growing respect within Hollywood. Then, in 1992, after a tiny part in Poison Ivy, something much bigger loomed. The legendary Robert De Niro himself selected the young DiCaprio to star opposite him in This Boy's Life. 1993, based on the poignant memoir of writer Tobias Wolff, cast as Toby, a troubled teen navigating a difficult relationship with his abusive stepfather, played by De Niro. Leo faced an immense challenge. Director Michael Caton Jones noted that Leo initially didn't know how to act on a real film set, employing a strict directorial style to guide him. Leo, ever the serious student, absorbed the lessons. The resulting performance was a revelation, showcasing a depth and vulnerability that garnered significant critical acclaim. This Boy's Life became the true turning point, the film that made Hollywood sit up and take serious notice. But he was far from done. Just a year later, he delivered an astonishing, powerful performance in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, 1993, portraying Arnie, a young man with developmental disabilities. The authenticity and emotional rawness of his acting were breathtaking, earning him his first Academy Award nomination. The climb was becoming steeper, faster. He starred in Baz Luhrmann's vibrant Romeo plus Juliet in 1996, and then, in 1997, came Titanic. The James Cameron epic didn't just make him a star, it launched him into the stratosphere of global superstardom.
I don't think I've ever avoided them so much as I never question what I'm subconsciously attracted to as an actor. It's never been an aversion to doing a love story or any genre of movie. I'm happy to try anything. I just sort of subconsciously gravitate towards subject matter, and I never question why, and I just go for it.
The world lay at his feet. Titanic had made him the king of Hollywood. But as millions screamed his name, a different, more troubling question began to form in DiCaprio's mind. Was he now trapped by the very image that made him a phenomenon? And how could he escape becoming just another romantic lead? The Oscar quest and the Scorsese alliance of Leonardo. The tidal wave of Titanic fame could have drowned a lesser actor in a sea of typecasting. But Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't about to become a relic of a single role, no matter how iconic. He took a deliberate step back, a surprising move that signaled a dramatic shift in his ambitions. With the world expecting more Jack Dawsons, DiCaprio charted a new course. He sought out complexity, darkness, and the kind of roles that would not only challenge him, but also redefine him in the eyes of critics and the public alike. He could have dined out on Titanic for a decade, coasting on the adulation. Instead, Leonardo DiCaprio made a daring pivot, one that would eventually lead him to an Oscar, but also demand years of relentless dedication to his craft. This conscious decision to take on diverse, serious roles began almost immediately. In 2002, he starred in Steven Spielberg's breezy caper, Catch Me If You Can, showcasing a charming roguishness, and then, crucially, came his first collaboration with Martin Scorsese Gangs of New York. This brutal, sprawling period piece marked the beginning of one of modern cinema's most fruitful actor-director partnerships, a bond that would significantly shape DiCaprio's career evolution. What is it about their chemistry, one might wonder, that allows them to consistently produce such compelling work? And how deeply has Scorsese's mentorship influenced Leo beyond the set? The ensuing years saw a deliberate accumulation of challenging characters. He portrayed the eccentric and troubled Howard Hughes in Scorsese's The Aviator, 2004, a performance that further demonstrated his expanding range and earned him another Oscar nomination. Then came The Intense Blood Diamond, 2006, where he played a diamond smuggler, and another Scorsese triumph. The Departed, 2006, as an undercover cop in Boston's Irish mob. Each role was a calculated step away from the romantic hero image. In 2008, he delivered a searing performance as a man in A Disintegrating Marriage and Revolutionary Road, a complex adult role that resonated deeply. The 2010s brought no letup. Christopher Nolan's mind-bending thriller Inception, 2010, was a global success, followed by Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained, 2012, where he played a memorably villainous plantation owner. Scorsese and DiCaprio reunited for the audacious The Wolf of Wall Street, 2013, a portrayal of unbridled hedonism and corruption that, while controversial, was undeniably powerful and garnered him yet another Oscar nod. The Golden Statuette itself, however, remained elusive, a near-constant narrative in his career. The tension built with each nomination, each perceived snub. Finally, in 2015, his physically grueling and immersive performance as frontiersman Hugh Glass in Alejandro G. Iñárritu's The Revenant brought the long Oscar quest to a triumphant end. The resilience paid off. His filmography continued to impress, with acclaimed films like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019, the satirical Don't Look Up, 2021, and his latest Scorsese collaboration, Killers of the Flower Moon, 2023.
Influenced each of the movies that we did together.
Yes.
I was asked what films I introduced to you, but considering you've seen every film ever made up until 1980, it's pretty hard to say. Other than maybe Spirited Away, Miyazaki's films, and maybe Princess Mononoke.
It was Spirited Away that you told me to watch.
With an Oscar finally in hand and a filmography that silenced any remaining doubters, DiCaprio had conquered Hollywood on his own terms. But his drive extended far beyond the movie set. A new, equally passionate chapter was unfolding, one that would see him tackle global issues with the same intensity he brought to his roles. Yet, how would this relentless pursuit of impact affect the ever-present questions about his personal life?
Thank you to the Academy. Thank you to all of you in this room. I have to congratulate the other incredible nominees this year for their unbelievable performances. The Revenant was a product of the tireless efforts of an unbelievable cast and crew I got to work with.
His cinematic achievements were undeniable, but Leonardo DiCaprio was channeling his formidable energy into more than just movie making. He was building an empire of influence, and his sights were set on challenges far bigger than any film role. While cameras flashed on red carpets, Leonardo DiCaprio was quietly building a different kind of legacy. One involving not scripts and co-stars, but endangered species and global summits. This dedication revealed another facet of the man, a committed producer and a passionate environmental crusader.
I admire your optimism.
Yeah.
But you start to look at the science, look at what's going on in the Antarctic, and scientists saying that there are sections of ice that guarantee 4 to 6 meters of ocean level rise, which will be catastrophic for the future.
His production company, Appian Way Productions, became an extension of his artistic vision, helping to bring many of his own films to the screen, alongside television series like The Innovative Greensburg, which documented a Kansas town's sustainable rebuilding efforts after a devastating tornado. But it was his environmental activism that truly began to define his off-screen persona. In 1998, he established the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, with a clear and urgent mission to raise awareness and funds for environmental causes, focusing on protecting biodiversity, ocean and forest conservation, and climate change. One has to wonder, what specific event or personal realization first ignited such a deep, unwavering, and lasting passion for environmentalism in him? Was there a particular moment, a journey, a conversation that transformed a general concern into a life's mission? According to Bang Showbiz website, in 1998 he established the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, focusing on the protection of the world's last wild places and addressing climate change. He has produced numerous documentaries such as Before the Flood, 2016, and Ice on Fire, 2019, which highlight the urgency of environmental action. DiCaprio also serves as a United Nations messenger of peace, using his platform to address climate change at global summits and directly support various conservation projects worldwide. This commitment wasn't just a Hollywood affectation. It was, and remains, deeply ingrained. His efforts garnered significant international recognition. In 2005, France honored him by making him a Commander of the Order of Arts and Letters for his contributions to the arts and, by extension, his growing influence. In 2016, Time magazine named him one of the 100 most influential people in the world, largely citing his environmental work. That same year, he was designated a United Nations Messenger of Peace, with a special focus on climate change, a role that saw him addressing world leaders and advocating for policy change. He leveraged his immense fame, not for further self-aggrandizement, but as a powerful platform to amplify urgent global issues. The contrast between his glamorous Hollywood image and his serious, dedicated activism only added to his complex public persona. He was a global force for change, a respected voice on the world stage. Yet, the more he achieved, the more one question echoed in the tabloids and among his fans, with a world of success at his fingertips. Why did the most personal of human connections, marriage, remain elusive? The world watched his every public move, but his heart remained a closely guarded fortress. His dedication to global causes was clear, but behind the statesman-like demeanor at UN podiums was still the man whose love life fascinated millions. And as the years passed, the list of famous women linked to him grew, painting a picture of a perpetual Casanova. But was that the whole story indeed? The question of why no ring kiss wasn't just fan speculation. It was fueled by a dating history as star-studded as his movie casts. A pattern began to emerge, one that seemed to define his approach to romance, always stopping short of the altar. He dated the world's most famous women, a seemingly endless parade of supermodels and actresses. But was it a fairy tale or a carefully curated cycle of love and loss? Always on his terms, ever since Titanic catapulted him to global fame, public curiosity about Leonardo DiCaprio's dating life has been insatiable, with an observable pattern of relationships, primarily with models and actresses, becoming a recurring theme in entertainment news. The early days saw him linked with Victoria's Secret model Bridget Hall in 1994, widely considered his first model girlfriend, though neither confirmed much. According to E! News website, Vittoria Ceretti is giving insight into her relationship with Leonardo DiCaprio. And for her, what's most important is looking ahead at their life together, rather than back at the many high-profile romances the once upon a time in Hollywood actor has had over the years. It's something you learn, Vittoria, 26, told Vogue France in an interview published March 24th. If what you're experiencing is real, if you know you love each other, then there's no reason to be alarmed, because love protects and gives confidence. Then came supermodel Naomi Campbell in the mid-90s. Their rumored romance was brief, but they interestingly maintained a close friendship, even being photobombed by rapper 50 Cent years later during a shared vacation. He escorted model Kristen Zong to the premiere of Romeo + Juliet in 1996, but their relationship concluded just before Titanic irrevocably altered his life. Whispers also connected him to Demi Moore in 1997, a time when Moore was still married to Bruce Willis. Though no solid proof of a romance ever surfaced, leaving it to public chatter. Around the release of Titanic, Danish supermodel Helena Christensen was another prominent name seen with him at parties, but again, without confirmation, some believed them to be just friends. The first of his widely publicized, long-term Hollywood romances was with Brazilian supermodel Gisele Bündchen. Their relationship, which spanned from roughly 1999 to 2005, lasted about 6 years, making it one of his most significant. They were a power couple, even traveling to the Amazon rainforest together in 2004 to highlight environmental issues. However, the fairy tale eventually unraveled. In her 2018 book, Lessons, My Path to a Meaningful Life, Gisele Bündchen offered a poignant glimpse into their divergence. She wrote, "No longer numbing myself with smoking, drinking, and too much work. I was becoming more and more aware of things that I had chosen not to look at. Was I alone in wanting to do some serious soul-searching while he stayed the same?" Her answer, she revealed, was ultimately yes. What exactly did she mean by him staying the same? And could this be the cryptic key to understanding his subsequent romantic trajectory? Following Gisele, Israeli model bar Refaeli entered his life. They met at a party in Las Vegas and dated on and off for 5 years. A relationship that saw them courtside at Lakers games and in the public eye before it ended in May 2011. Bar Refaeli later shared how the breakup spurred personal growth, stating, "I came to understand a lot of things about myself. Today, I know that a relationship can work only if you know you can be alone and you are not afraid." During a hiatus from his relationship with Refaeli, DiCaprio was briefly linked with Russian model Anne Violitsina, who later married Maroon 5 singer Adam Levine. Then, in 2011 came the whirlwind romance with Gossip Girl star Blake Lively. Their relationship was fast, intense, and highly publicized, with sightings on yachts in Cannes and jaunts through Italy, New York, and Australia. Gossip Girl producer Joshua Safran even shared a charming anecdote about Blake Lively, documenting their time together by sending Leo photos taken with a doll. A pre-Instagram form of sharing life. Gisele, Barr, Blake, each a global superstar in her own right. Each relationship a chapter that ultimately closed. The common thread seemed to be Leo himself, a man who could charm the world, but perhaps couldn't, or wouldn't, commit to one. As he moved into his late 30s and 40s, the pattern didn't just continue, it intensified, leading to even more public scrutiny and a rather infamous club rule that everyone started noticing. The world watched as one beautiful woman after another graced his arm, only for the romance to eventually fade. But as the 2010s progressed, a new, more specific narrative began to take hold regarding his choice of partners, sparking both memes and serious debate. This wasn't just about dating models anymore. A distinct age preference seemed to emerge, culminating in his longest relationship yet, a romance that would put both DiCaprio and his much younger girlfriend directly in the crosshairs of public opinion. A curious pattern began to emerge, whispered about online, and then openly discussed. Leonardo DiCaprio, it seemed, didn't date women over 25. Was this a coincidence, a cruel joke, or a revealing insight into his psyche? His dating history through these years certainly provided fuel for the speculation. In 2012, he was seen biking in New York City with Victoria's Secret model Erin Heatherton. Though their romance was short-lived, Heatherton later spoke kindly of him, saying, "He's a wonderful person and he's a friend of mine. I wish him all the best." The following year, 2013 saw links to another Victoria's Secret alumna, Miranda Kerr, then recently split from Orlando Bloom, though sources close to them insisted a dinner in Las Vegas was merely friendly. That same year, Brazilian model Kat Torres claimed a romance after meeting Leo in Cannes, even mentioning a pact of secrecy, but her claims were swiftly denied by DiCaprio's camp. His relationship with German model Toni Garn began in 2014 and lasted about 18 months before they quietly parted ways in December. They were spotted together again in New York in September 2017, sparking reconciliation rumors, but it appeared to be just a friendly catch-up. In 2015, DiCaprio was linked with Kelly Rohrbach, an actress known for her role in the Baywatch movie, seen together at the U.S. Open and cycling in New York, though this too remained private. Then came the explosive, albeit unconfirmed, Rihanna rumors throughout 2016 and 2017 with sightings at Coachella and various parties. These rumors even led to a French tabloid falsely claiming Rihanna was pregnant, a story DiCaprio successfully took legal action against. In July 2016, he began dating Danish model Nina Agdal, who was 24 at the time. Their relationship appeared more open, with reports by October of that year suggesting things were getting serious. However, like many before, this romance quietly concluded without public drama. Then came Camila Morrone, their relationship, which began around late 2017 when she was 20, was a significant chapter, lasting nearly 5 years, a veritable marathon in DiCaprio's romantic history. The nearly 23-year age gap, however, became an intense focal point of public and media scrutiny. Online commentary was relentless. Camila Morrone addressed this directly in a 2019 Instagram video, decrying the mean and full of anger comments from people they know nothing about, adding, "Living without hatred feels pretty good." In an interview with the Los Angeles Times that same year, she stated, "There's so many relationships in Hollywood and in the history of the world where people have large age gaps. I just think anyone should be able to date who they want to date." Yet, with candid self-awareness, she also admitted, "I probably would be curious about it too." What did this admission reveal about the dynamics or pressures within their highly scrutinized relationship? One touching detail was a photo she once posted from Koh Phi Phi Le in Thailand, the iconic filming location of DiCaprio's 1999 film, The Beach. They attended the 2020 Oscars separately, but were seated next to each other inside, a subtle acknowledgement of their bond. However, by August 2022, reports confirmed their split, notably just after Morrone had turned 25, adding considerable fuel to the under 25 narrative. After the breakup, rumors briefly swirled around Gigi Hadid, but sources close to Leo maintained they were just longtime friends and nothing romantic transpired. Camila Morrone, 2017 till present. An American-Argentinian actress and model started another love story with the award-winning actor when she was 20 years old. As she says, she is not bothered with the age gap. 5 years with Camila Morrone, the longest public relationship in his adult life, still ended, almost precisely as the 25 theories predicted. Was he truly incapable of a lasting commitment beyond this invisible deadline? Or was everyone missing a deeper reason? Just as the world sighed, here we go again. A new name emerged, one that seemed to defy the established pattern, at least for a while. Vittoria's hope versus Leo's reality, that new love, same old stance on I do of Leonardo. The end of the Camila Morrone chapter seemed to confirm the cynic's views, but Hollywood and Leonardo DiCaprio are never entirely predictable. A new romance blossomed, this time with Italian model Vittoria Ceretti. And for a moment, the narrative seemed poised for a rewrite. She met his mother, a significant step in any relationship, especially for a man as private as Leonardo DiCaprio. With Italian model Vittoria Ceretti, the world wondered, had the eternal bachelor finally met his match? Or was this just another beautiful stop on a journey destined to remain solo? Leonardo DiCaprio and Vittoria Ceretti were first romantically linked in 2023. Their initial encounters reportedly occurred around the premiere of his film Killers of the Flower Moon at the Cannes Film Festival in May of that year. Soon after, sightings of the pair spending time together, notably in Ibiza, began to fuel the dating rumors. Vittoria Ceretti is a well-established figure in the fashion world herself. She began modeling at the young age of 14 and has graced runways and campaigns for major fashion houses including Versace, Gucci, Balenciaga, and Alexander McQueen. Before her involvement with DiCaprio, Ceretti was married to Italian DJ Matteo Milleri. Their marriage concluded in 2023. The power couple turned heads in style, with Victoria rocking a chic pinstripe mini dress courtesy of Mondler X72, and Leonardo keeping things simple yet dashing in his black tux. Following her split, the relationship between Ceretti and DiCaprio appeared to accelerate. By August 2023, they were photographed vacationing together in Sardinia, Italy. This was followed by a string of increasingly public appearances, Halloween parties, a Rolling Stones concert in Las Vegas, a trip to Art Basel in Miami, and even DiCaprio's 49th birthday celebration in Los Angeles. A particularly noteworthy moment came in September, when Page Six published photos of DiCaprio and Ceretti spending time with his mother, Irmelin Indenberken. In the world of celebrity romance, meeting the family is often interpreted as a sign of a relationship's deepening seriousness. Hope began to build among onlookers that perhaps this time things were different. However, this optimistic view was soon sharply contrasted by claims from those described as insiders. Sources allegedly close to the actor began to paint a familiar picture. Page Six reported that while DiCaprio was besotted by Ceretti, he still didn't feel the need to formalize their relationship through marriage. Leo doesn't see himself ever getting married. One source was quoted as saying, "He doesn't feel the need to tie the knot to make things official in his eyes." This source added that while he greatly enjoys his relationship with Ceretti, the role of a husband simply isn't one he envisions for himself. This perspective might not align with everyone's hopes, particularly, perhaps, Ceretti's. Another insider shared with In Touch Weekly that Vittoria is purportedly on a mission to become Mrs. DiCaprio, emphasizing that she is investing in the relationship on every level and is not just another trophy girlfriend. The same source offered an intriguing insight. She's actually playing this very well because Leo has a very geeky side, and anyone that is going to last long-term in his life has to be supportive of that. This mention of a geeky side offers a tantalizing, if undefined, glimpse into a more private aspect of DiCaprio's personality. What exactly does this geeky side entail, and how might Vittoria be adeptly supporting it? The mystery adds another layer to their public yet private romance. Adding to the public speculation, Vittoria was spotted wearing a diamond ring, leading some fans to excitedly believe DiCaprio had proposed. However, this was quickly debunked. The ring had reportedly been part of her jewelry collection since 2022, predating her relationship with him. Despite this, the online chatter persisted, with some joking that perhaps hitting 50 had finally made Leo ready to settle down. Yet, the narrative from those purportedly in his circle remained consistent. Marriage still isn't something DiCaprio desires. This isn't a new stance. His history with Gisele Bündchen, Refaeli, and Camila Morrone involved serious, long-term commitments that never neared the altar. Insiders paint a picture of a woman deeply invested and a man deeply appreciative, yet fundamentally unchanged in his views on matrimony. He's 50. He's with Vittoria. But the core question remains, is his aversion to marriage an unbreakable vow? And if not marriage, what does the future hold for a man who seems to want something else? So, what is DiCaprio's true passion and legacy as Hollywood's eternal bachelor? The pronouncements from those in the know seem to cast a long shadow over any wedding bell predictions for Vittoria Ceretti. Yet, as Leonardo DiCaprio crossed the threshold of 50, a different kind of personal desire began to surface in his own rare comments about the future. If marriage isn't the destination, then what is the ultimate goal for Leonardo DiCaprio's personal life? His own words, coupled with the unwavering trajectory of his career, might hold the final, surprising key to this decades-long enigma. At 50, an age of reflection for many, Leonardo DiCaprio offers a glimpse into his future desires, and it might not be what you expect, or what his partners have hoped for, the man who celebrated this significant milestone on November 11th, 2024, has spent a lifetime navigating global fame, critical acclaim, and an equally scrutinized private life. The central question always lingering, why has he never married? Surprisingly, in a recent interview, DiCaprio himself addressed the prospect of fatherhood with a candor rarely seen. "I am sure it will be," he stated, before adding with a touch of self-awareness. "But it's true, I am not getting any younger." This marked one of the first times he has openly expressed a desire for children, a significant admission that, while not necessarily heralding wedding bells, certainly indicates a shift in his contemplation of life's next chapters. "You're 49 years old. How the hell did that happen?" "I have no idea. We were talking about our first interview. That may have been 30 years ago. What do you want to do before you turn 50? H, good question. Well, every now and then, you know what? Just one more movie, he'll do it." This expressed wish for fatherhood stands in contrast to the continued belief from alleged insiders that marriage itself remains off the table for him. The prevailing theory, echoed by a source speaking to The Sun, is that Leo's true passion is acting. This all-consuming dedication to his craft often means relationships take a back seat. He fully immerses himself in each role, a characteristic that has undeniably propelled his incredible success, but has also shaped the pattern of his personal life. Intense romances with younger women that flourish for a time, only to fade as his focus inevitably shifts back to his career. This unwavering commitment to his profession can be traced back to a formative experience. After working with the legendary Robert De Niro on the film This Boy's Life, DiCaprio had an epiphany. He once told The Guardian, "I watched his work, realized the caliber of actor that he was, and said to myself, I will never squander this opportunity." And he never did. That profound sense of artistic responsibility, perhaps an unbreakable vow made to himself and his art, became the driving force that pushed him to the zenith of Hollywood. It is also, many speculate, the very same force that has kept him from settling down in the traditional sense. So, while fans and media alike continue to ask when, or if, DiCaprio will finally marry, the answer might indeed be never. He appears content in his current relationship with Vittoria Ceretti, enjoying their time together. Yet, in his eyes, the institution of marriage just isn't necessary. Perhaps his true, lifelong commitment is to his artistic journey, a path that has brought him immense fulfillment and a towering legacy. In defying conventional expectations of a personal life, Leonardo DiCaprio, the actor and the cultural icon, inadvertently challenges us all to consider the diverse paths to a complete and meaningful existence. At 50, Leonardo DiCaprio remains unapologetically himself, a man who has rewritten the rules of fame, romance, and legacy. While tabloids still ask when he'll marry, the real question might be, why should he? In a world obsessed with milestones and conformity, DiCaprio has chosen purpose over pressure, passion over predictability. His deepest vow may never have been to a partner, but to the craft that shaped him and the legacy he continues to build. And in doing so, he doesn't just defy expectations, he redefines them. If this glimpse into Hollywood's most mysterious leading man intrigued you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more untold stories behind the spotlight. The truth is always more fascinating than fiction.